Oh my gosh, look at those beautiful people. We love that you're tuning into our favorite streaming channel. It's Today All Day.
What a copy. We're halfway through the week.
We are?
Hump day, baby.
Okay.
Hump day. This is Today in 30, and we have a packed half hour ahead for you.
We're going to start off with Facebook under new fire after that stunning testimony from a whistleblower who claims the company stokes division and harms children. Coming up, how CEO Mark Zuckerberg is responding.
Then, are you among the many millions watching Squid Game? It's all anyone's talking about these days. On track to become Netflix's biggest show ever. Joe Fryer's going to show us why it's become such a huge sensation all around the world.
Plus, we've got an inspiring story about a young woman sharing her love for surfing and giving back to her community.
And it's Wednesday, which of course means it's also Trends Day.
We love that. That's when we break down all the hot topics with our friend Justin Sylvester. So, Mr. Melvin, it's time to hit play on
Today in 30.
We'll start with NBC's senior Washington correspondent, Hallie Jackson. Hey, Hallie, good morning.
Hey, Hoda, good morning to you. You know, this is the first time that we are hearing from Mark Zuckerberg since Facebook's whistleblower revealed herself. And in his full-throated defense of his company, he calls it difficult to see coverage that he says misrepresents their motives. His statement, coming after that former employee who left Facebook armed with a trove of documents, delivered testimony that united lawmakers on both sides of the aisle, now calling for new, tougher regulations. New this morning, the Facebook founder's forceful defense. Mark Zuckerberg, in a lengthy post to his staff, writing, "I think most of us just don't recognize the false picture of the company that is being painted." His rebuttal to dramatic testimony from a former employee.
Facebook's products harm children, stoke division, and weaken our democracy.
Zuckerberg, never mentioning by name whistleblower Frances Haugen, who painted a damning picture of Facebook and its products.
The company's leadership knows how to make Facebook and Instagram safer, but won't make the necessary changes because they have put their astronomical profits before people.
Zuckerberg writes that's just not true, calling it illogical to suggest Facebook's algorithm promotes hateful, divisive content, as Haugen suggests. Quote, "We make money from ads, and advertisers consistently tell us they don't want their ads next to harmful or angry content." And he called it difficult to read the mischaracterization of research into how Instagram affects younger people, with Haugen saying Facebook knows that app can be toxic for teens.
And in the end, the buck stops with Mark.
She wants Congress to act with new regulations. And Zuckerberg, who's appeared 4 times on Capitol Hill since last summer, says he does too, but still not much action yet.
What's changed is Ms. Hogan and her courage.
You think she's the tipping point?
I think she has allowed us to get under the hood of Facebook.
So what's next? It's possible Congress could establish more muscular federal oversight for big tech, require platforms to share with regulators their proprietary algorithms, the code that determines what posts pop up in your feed, or change something called Section 230, which now gives broad immunity to tech companies to instead perhaps hold them liable for the way their algorithms promote content. And as it relates to big questions about how companies should think about social media and kids, like how to balance teens' privacy with parents' oversight, Zuckerberg defers to lawmakers. He writes, at some level, the right body to assess these kinds of trade-offs is Congress. Craig?
Our senior Washington correspondent, Hallie Jackson, for us. Hallie, thank you. Joining us now is Kara Swisher, who's been covering Facebook for more than a decade now. She's also the host of the Sway and Pivot podcasts and a contributing opinion writer for the New York Times. Kara, always good to have you. Thanks for your time this morning.
Thanks, Craig.
So we heard from the whistleblower yesterday calling for regulation. We've heard from Mark Zuckerberg on a number of occasions calling for regulation. I talked to the head of Instagram last week, said they welcome regulation. What should that regulation look like, Kara?
Well, it's very complex. It's not just one piece of regulation. Everybody's been calling for different things. There's a couple things that look pretty smart. One that looks a little disturbing is a new data agency, which I think many people are worried about, and using terms like Ministry of Information. That's something that's problematic at best, especially with the government involved in content moderation. But there are some things like data privacy. There's issues around hacking. There's issues around the research that Facebook does that should be available to researchers so we can understand what's going on in there and begin to give recommendations of how content should be moderated in some way. But it's definitely true. Both Mark Zuckerberg and Frances Haugen are saying the same thing, is that Congress has not stepped in once here to do anything about all these problems, and they shouldn't be the ones making the decision. In that, Mark Zuckerberg's completely right.
Well, why do you think that is? Why do you think that despite Zuckerberg appearing on the Hill 4 times since last summer, there have been a number of hearings like this without Mark Zuckerberg, why do you think lawmakers have failed to act so far?
Wow, that's a big question. Why have they failed to act in so many areas? But in tech, they can't decide on lunch up on Capitol Hill at this point, I think. So I think it's really, there's been legislation in California, in some of the states, obviously abroad, but our Congress has yet to pass a national privacy bill. A lot of these things have to do with what users know about their information, know about what's happening, and things like that. And our Congress has failed to act, and I guess they just don't get along. I'm not sure what's happening. There's some great legislation by Amy Klobuchar. There's a lot of Republicans that have put forth some great legislation. They just have to get together and pass some of it piece by piece. But it's not a single thing like stop Facebook. You cannot approach it this way. And it's also not one company, even though this company gets a lion's share of the attention because it's the biggest. And so I think just beginning with, for example, letting researchers, mandating that researchers are allowed into and see Facebook's information would be one way, instead of having people like Francis throw it over the wall, and then it becomes something else that's not systemic in terms of how we deal with these problems.
Access to those proprietary algorithms.
No, access to the data.
Okay.
Access to the data. No, not necessarily that, but how things work within Facebook and what's happening. That's one tiny little way, but there's dozens of different things we could do to mitigate it, and Facebook knows how to do it. They did it before the election.
Kara Swisher, always good to have your insight, Kara. Thank you.
Thank you.
We are back with Carson. We turn our attention to the most popular show on Netflix.
That's right. We're talking about Squid Game, and it's become an unlikely streaming sensation. NBC News Now anchor Joe Fryer is here to fill us all in with a little closer look.
All right. So full disclosure, kind of like Al mentioned a moment ago, if you had asked me about Squid Game a few days ago, I probably would have guessed it was a reality cooking competition focused on calamari and other seafood. It is not even close to that. Think polar opposite. It's a Korean thriller. It's violent. It's dark. And it's on track to become the most watched Netflix show of all time. Now, here's more, and don't worry, no major spoilers.
게임에 참가를 원하지 않는 분은 지금 말씀해 주시길 바랍니다.
Whether you're watching it in Korean with subtitles or with the English dub.
Red light, green light. The thing we did as kids on the playground?
Let me repeat the rules.
I think that's what you said.
Squid Game is a universal hit. Netflix predicts there's a very good chance it's going to be our biggest show ever. That means surpassing the current #1,
Miss Daphne Bridgerton.
A vastly different show, the whimsical British period drama Bridgerton. Squid Game, on the other hand, is a dark dystopian tale. It centers on characters who are in debt and playing a series of children's games, hoping to win millions of dollars. But if they lose the games, they lose their lives. 9-episode series released less than 3 weeks ago has already sparked all kinds of memes and viral TikTok videos. And with Halloween approaching, Squid-inspired costumes, including those green jumpsuits, are selling out fast.
How cool is it that this show right now is just so big?
It's been really a wild ride that I'm so happy to be a part of. And it's really become a global phenomenon and put Korean contents, on the map.
Mickey Hyun with the Korean Cultural Center of New York says it's just the latest example of Korean content finding global love. From Parasite winning the Best Picture Oscar last year to K-pop bands like BTS dominating the music charts.
It has familiarized and brought a lot of attention to Koreans and the Korean culture in a very tangible way.
Now a runaway hit about games for kids. That's anything but child's play.
This morning we're taking our series Grit out onto the water.
surfing, synonymous with Southern California, but the sport has historically been seen as off-limits to the Mexican-American communities in and around Los Angeles.
Until now, thanks to a grassroots nonprofit organization called Los Courage Surf Camps that's committed to teaching others to hang 10.
My surf journey is a story of what I thought was never possible for me. I'm a little brown girl, born and raised in East LA, and growing up, I never even knew a surfer that looked like me.
Growing up, Giselle Carrillo says the ocean felt like a foreign place. Her hardworking Mexican parents saw riding waves as a dangerous waste of time.
The first time I went surfing, it was a flush of really heavy emotions. Growing up, I never really learned how to swim. I went to the beach maybe twice in my entire life, even though I was born and raised in LA. Once I got into the ocean and actually did something I never thought was possible for me, it was this total strength that I'd never really felt before. And so the sense of self-belief that I could feel right here in my heart was just blooming and blossoming.
She took that feeling and in 2017, along with 2 friends, founded Los Courage Surf Camps to share it with kids from the barrios of LA.
Today, you're going to feel something really bright inside of your heart. It's called courage. If you love the ocean, you're a surfer. Si amas el mar, eres un surfeador, okay?
Every summer, the organization hosts free surf camps in partnership with experienced volunteer coaches from schools like AquaSurf, along with nonprofits like the Surfrider Foundation.
If the nose is sticking up in the sky, that means you're too far back.
I know no one in my family or my wife's family have ever surfed, so it's definitely a new experience for our kids.
I mean, I grew up looking at Surfer Magazine. You don't see pictures of guys that look like me. You see blonde-haired, blue-eyed, girls in bikinis.
While the beach boy stereotype might not include Latinos, veteran surfer John Acevedo says the barriers are mostly in the mind.
And surfers don't care what you look like, how much money you make. All they care about is you have a passion for surfing.
Los Courage Camps aren't just for kids. Adult beginners, Jenny Lopez and Leah Chavez, say this is a safe space for them as well.
I think we both realize that we're in the mental health field, so this is mental health. This is what it looks like.
It felt incredible. I see the kids, they're so fearless, and I felt some fear out there, like thinking a little bit too much, being hesitant, but I'm still proud of myself for giving it a shot.
We started with 2 surfers at our first camp, and every single time it's grown exponentially that I think at this point I've probably taught about 150 kids and their parents to surf.
Surfing has a steep learning curve. It can take years to get past the novice stage. But for women like Giselle, it's about more than simply standing up on a board.
The best moments I've had surfing are the moments where there actually aren't any waves and it's just me, my surfboard, and the water. And the sense of oneness, the sense of believing, the sense of feeling safe in something that is really vast and unknown, and just being present. My hope for Los Courage Camps is that this is the last generation that looks around and says, hey, that surfing thing looks cool, but it's not for me. No one looks like me, no one is from the same neighborhood as me, and I want to bring surfing back to my people.
I love that. Absolutely, to try something new. Los Courage Surf Camps is just one of many nonprofits working to teach all kids who might not otherwise be out there, if you will, including the Black Surfers Collective. One of you guys did that story.
Yeah,
you did. And the women's group Textured Waves. Giselle says she's found the surfing community as a whole to be pretty welcoming to her and the students. It's kind of a laid-back community anyway,
exactly.
So they're like, you know what, come join us.
The more the merrier.
Absolutely.
Cool story.
All right, now there's something we love to do every Wednesday, and let's check in with this guy, our pal Justin Sylvester.
Hey, Justin, you're in California at the E-Daily Pop Studio.
He's feeling some Roker. Are you feeling some Roker?
Al Roker, I had no idea you were a rosé drinker. Welcome to the fraternity of roséers.
Oh, yeah, Whispering Angel, baby.
We're going to brunch. We have to brunch when I'm in New York.
Look at you. You got brunch. It's a verb. All right, so talk to us. Adele's got new music we want to hear. Can you play some?
You guys, no more speculating. No longer do we have to say rumor has it, because Adele has officially announced her return. She posted a teaser video for her new single coming out next week. It's called Easy on Me.
Wait, what?
Now look, judging from the makeshift U-Haul, the acoustic piano, and the black and white filter, I think we can all rejoice. She is going through it, and she's going to give us every inch of it. And it would be on trend because Casey Musgrave's this recent album was a breakup album. Even Kelly Clarkson's latest Christmas song, Christmas Isn't Canceled, Just You, is a breakup album.
Wow, a lot of people
Everyone's doing it.
Okay.
Now,
so how are
this is
people
making
reacting?
waves in the music industry because last week, Taylor Swift, out of nowhere, pushed the re-release of her Red album a week earlier than planned. Coincidence? I don't think so.
We think not. No, we think not. All right, let's talk Super Bowl, because this is big. They got a great lineup.
Unbelievable.
You guys, Gen X is getting a halftime show where they can embarrass all their millennial kids by singing along to every single word. We have Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, and Kendrick Lamar were all announced as headliners for the Pepsi Super Bowl halftime show. Now, I love this lineup. It's so West Coast through and through. But I gotta say, I know it's supposed to be a celebration, but I like my Mary J. Blige a little sad. Am I wrong?
Well, maybe she could do a duet on the Adele album.
No, maybe she can. Now, there is some breaking news. I'm hearing that they're adding a sixth performer, an icon to the lineup, okay?
Okay.
Now, you know him from Waitress. He will be singing his hit single, Your Neck of the Woods. It's Al Rose Roker.
Wow, you kind of had me there. You had me there. I think they actually want people to watch.
Oh, my gosh.
Al, you are an icon. Now, for everybody out there, I got some real good news for you.
Okay. What?
Snoop Dogg said that they haven't locked in their set list yet. So if there's anything you want to hear, you can drop a comment on any of these social media handles here. If you're a gin and juice kind of girl, if you want to drop it like it's hot, if you want a little family affair, let any of these people know, and they will add it to their lineups.
By the way, it's going to be good. Are they going to? Do you think they're all going to perform together at some point?
I think they're all going to come together, and we're hearing that it's going from 12 minutes, which is the standard for a Super Bowl halftime show, to 20 minutes.
Wow.
I was wondering how they're going to fit everybody in 12 minutes.
Yeah, that would be tough.
Well, Al, you should know. You're the sixth performer. You tell us. You have the inside scoop, Al.
They're obviously not pumping enough oxygen into your studio.
By the way, I love the shot.
I do.
By the way,
I do.
I think we're going to keep that. We'll screen grab it and send it out.
Justin, it is so nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you, too, you guys. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Justin. We'll see you soon.
That's right. Don't forget and catch Justin weekdays on Daily Pop on our sister network, E!
Okay, we hope you're back with us for another great morning tomorrow on Today. Jamie Lee Curtis, she'll be here. We can't wait to catch up with her about her new movie.
Have a great day. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Find your favorite recipes, celebrity interviews, uplifting stories, shop our favorite deals, and so much more with the Today app. Download it now.